The late 90s and early 2000s were filled with television shows that were held on a creative leash due to networks, network executives, advertisers, and viewer culture of the time. Twitch streamers and other online content creators aren't held to these same standards, and because of this, we're now starting to see an incoming wave of content online that provides entertainment in new and refreshing ways. Now, what I just said sounds very broad, the comparison of TV shows with Twitch streamers. It wouldn't really be a fair comparison because aside from both of them just falling in the entertainment category, they're completely separate. But what I want to talk about in today's video is specifically game shows. Game shows have been around for a while. I remember listening to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on the ride home from school every afternoon, or it wasn't uncommon to see my dad watching Jeopardy on TV every evening. These shows and others like them were wildly popular, with millions of daily viewers. But with that being said, just because they were so successful, does that actually mean that they were good, or specifically maybe as good as they could be? Now note, I'm not saying that these TV game shows are bad, but I do feel that they're maybe, bland, boring, stale, normie. They leave a lot to be desired from an entertainment standpoint. And maybe this is just my personal experience, but I feel like a lot of these TV game shows over the last 10 years have become the gray man on TV. They exist and people watch them. Sure, a lot of people watch them every single day, but networks have perfected the formula to getting people to watch, and that's good enough. There's no innovation, and the shows aren't going to change at all unless the host literally dies. My problem with TV game shows isn't so much a problem with the shows themselves. It's more of a problem with the lack of innovation. My issue lies in a want for more out of these shows. They could be so much better, and I don't think that's a bad thing to ask for. I want to see more creativity, more personality, and specifically less reeled in for TV personality or just straight up scripted interactions. And I understand, it's a multi-billion-dollar business. As Lil Wayne said, if it ain't broke, don't break it. So I get that these TV executives and producers don't want to risk their livelihood to make something creatively better when the tried and true, safe but mild version works well enough. But this is where Twitch and internet game shows come in as the solution to what I'm describing. And now it's not a difficult observation to make, and I'm definitely not the first one to have made it, but Twitch and internet streamer culture in general have created this new form of media entertainment that's becoming wildly popular. Before Twitch, the concept of watching someone sitting at a computer for hours on end playing games was unheard of, and the idea that they could make a career out of it, specifically one that brought in millions and millions of dollars, was non-existent. But what separates these shows from their traditional TV counterparts is what I mentioned earlier: personality and creativity. Twitch, YouTube, and the internet in general allow for a lot more creative expression when compared to broadcast TV. And because of this, we have entered into what I am calling an entertainment renaissance for game shows. So as I dive into the rest of this video, we'll be looking into the old, the new, and speculating on what the future could hold. So without further ado, the old. The concept of a TV show where contestants compete in some way for a cash or material prize is not unique to the late 90s and 2000s. There have been popular game shows on television since basically as long as TV has been around, and even before then there were game shows on the radio as early as the 1930s. The way these shows work is fairly simple. An average person or group of people are brought out, some sort of challenge is presented to them, and they then attempt to compete in order to win a bunch of money. I'm not going to delve into the specifics, you all know how game shows work, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to focus on the game shows that aired between 2000 and 2015-ish, because I don't really know much about shows before then. I was 4 in 2000. And ever since going off to college, I can't really remember a time that I sat down and watched a game show. I don't think I even had a TV between like 2014 and 2020. But my point is, when referring to the old shows that I'm comparing Twitch, YouTube, etc. type game shows to, I'm only going to address the ones in the US that I remember because that's what I can best talk about. Of those, I'd say the main ones that come to mind are Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Family Feud, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, Deal or No Deal, Cash Cab, and The Price is Right. All of these shows were huge, most airing nationwide every day, and in general, regardless of the show's content, they all followed a similar formula that set them up for success. This formula required the shows to be 4 things: entertaining, stimulating, engaging with the audience and/or viewer, and advertiser friendly, aka safe. So now let's look at each of these. Number 1, entertaining. This one is easy and obvious. If the show isn't entertaining, no one is going to watch it. The best example of a way to keep a game show entertaining is the host. As they guide the contestants through whatever the challenge is, they keep everyone, including you, the viewer, engaged, having a good time with the jokes, witty banter, asking the contestants questions, and more. This is why game show hosts are often well-known celebrities, or they wind up becoming celebrities from hosting the show. They're likable and they're fun. So number 2, stimulating. The most common type game show uses a trivia model, where a question gets asked and the contestant answers, winning the prize or at least getting closer to winning the prize if they're right. But what the shows do subliminally is they get you, the viewer, involved as well. Watching Jeopardy with family or friends is fun because you all shout your answers at the TV in the seconds leading up to the reveal. In fact, if you're not doing this, you're watching Jeopardy wrong. By getting the viewer indirectly involved, they're going to want to keep watching, especially when they guess a question correctly. It creates a positive feedback loop of happy little dopamine hits, and next thing you know, you're 4 White Claws deep and you're telling Brad to go fuck himself because he didn't know Italian artist Sandro Botticelli's 1486 painting of a Greek goddess on a giant shell surrounded by angels was called The Birth of Venus. Fucking dumbass. Anyway, this brings me to the next point. Number 3, engagement. Now, what I just mentioned before this was indirect engagement, but TV game shows often include direct engagement, whether it be the audience on set or the viewer at home. The Price is Right picks their contestants from the audience. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire had the Ask the Audience lifeline, where the on-set viewers would be polled on what they thought the answer was. While not directly a game show in the sense of those that have been mentioned, American Idol used to offer the viewers at home a text-in vote option to decide which contestants would stay on the show from week to week. All of these options create a sense of personal investment. In game shows, the viewer's vote can directly affect the outcome of the game, and when the viewer has placed a guess themselves, they're going to want to stick around to see if they were right. Number 4, Advertiser Friendly. Last but not least, we have arguably one of the most important aspects in what makes TV game shows the way they are: advertiser friendliness, aka safety. As I mentioned in the introduction, I understand that TV shows are part of the entertainment industry. It's all a business, and the vast majority of the money coming into this industry comes from advertisers. And as with all broadcast and syndicated TV shows, the producers and network executives will bend over backwards to keep advertisers happy. Now, I'm going to make a sweeping generalization here, but overall, what advertisers want from a TV game show can be best summarized as marketable to suburban moms. That means no swearing, no sexual content, no drug use or references, and no over-the-top characters. Because if Rosalind Marie in Salt Lake City won't tune in at 2 p.m. after dropping an ice cube and a Xanax into her 3rd glass of Chardonnay, then how is Totino's supposed to sell pizza rolls? While this is a joke and an over-exaggeration, the premise holds true. Advertisers want to market to certain demographics that are more likely to buy their products, which tend to be adults, and specifically adults with families because then there's more people to buy products for. But all of this only matters because of what I said about networks bending over backwards to meet the requirements of advertisers. I believe this need to satisfy advertisers stifles creative endeavors and results in game shows that, while they're fine, they result in an old, safe but boring, and therefore stale format compared to what they could be. The new. Changing formats over time isn't necessarily a new idea in the world of entertainment. Print media swapped to radio, which swapped to TV. Eddie Burback does a great video about late-night TV hosts moving from their large studio sets into recording their shows in their own houses during the COVID-19 pandemic. But even with all this, these shows were and still are bound by the restrictions of networks and their advertisers.
Oh, what the fuck, man? He wrecked my shirt.
Don't swear! Oh my God! What game show have you ever seen that had swearing in it?
And this is where content creators on Twitch, and to a lesser extent YouTube and the rest of the internet, come in. Twitch streaming started out as a very simple concept. The streamer would play a game, usually on camera, and people would watch them do it. Eventually, streamers started doing more than just playing games, and they started involving more people. This led to the formation of Twitch organizations and streamer houses, all of this being new, refreshing content, with the watch numbers proving their popularity. Honestly, somebody could probably make, and probably has made, a video talking about the comparison of Twitch to TV, but for me, I'll be honest, I'm not really a big consumer of Twitch, and I don't know enough about the platform as a whole to try to compare the two. I've only very recently gotten into Twitch culture, and I honestly learned a lot just from the research of this video. With that said, most of the Twitch content I do watch falls into a pretty small niche, and I watch all of it on YouTube. Even 2 years ago, I would have said I wasn't even a very big consumer of YouTube, so a lot has changed in a short time. Now with that being said, let's call this my disclaimer. I did a good amount of research while putting this video together, but Twitch is a very large site with a lot of streamers, and that doesn't even begin to include content creators who only make stuff for YouTube. So as I go into online game shows, I think my timeline is pretty accurate, but I fully recognize that my scope of knowledge on the subject is pretty limited. So if I miss any Twitch or YouTube game shows, please let me know in the comments. I always appreciate when you guys let me know if you think that I'm either, wrong about something, or if there's some major aspect of the video that's missing, so if I ever do a follow-up, I can fully complete the information that I want to put in there. I think this genre of online game shows is a new and growing space, and I think that it has a lot of potential, but we'll talk about that more here in a little bit. So let's get back to the video. As Twitch streamers gained popularity, they also gained more money. This, combined with the want and need to create new content, has led to a bloom in creativity on the site. Before actual game shows became common on Twitch, it was a popular group event for streamers and their friends to play party games like the Jackbox Party Pack. From what I've found, the first to stream game shows with a major viewing began in 2019 with Twitch streamer Austin Show. Now a member of the 100 Thieves gaming organization, Austin Show really made the concept of Twitch reality style game shows popular with his shows King of the Hill, Lover Host, and the Austin Talent Show. These shows all feature multiple streamers, content creators, and even regular fans to compete for cash prizes or even the prize of having their Twitch account hosted by Austin Show's channel. In a similar vein, throughout 2020, the gaming organization One True King, OTK, released a multitude of game shows that they would play on stream, some being one-time events and others lasting for an entire season. Eventually, Twitch themselves got in on the action. In early 2021, two major streamers, Ludwig and Moist Critical, created a Family Feud quiz-type game show called Hivemind. This game show still used the Zoom meeting style format where everyone was on their own computer using their own camera. But there were two major differences between Hivemind and past Twitch game shows. The first being that this show was streamed primarily on Twitch Gaming, a channel created by Twitch in an effort to expand outside of just traditional video game streams. The other major difference was Hivemind's extension that allowed for polling of answers and aggregation of results in real time from the chat. To put Hivemind's reply extension into perspective, when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire conducts their Ask the Audience lifeline, they're asking their on-site audience, which is approximately 300-ish people who are using a polling device connected to their seats. Family Feud would send pollsters to shopping malls to interview 100 people days or even weeks before the show was filmed. But the Hivemind extension allows every member of chat who's watching, whether it be on the main Twitch Gaming stream, either of the host streams, or any of the contestant streams, the ability to participate in the show right as it was happening from anywhere in the world. Chat's involvement had a direct impact on the outcome of the game. This is important because it feeds into the earlier mentioned formula used by traditional game shows, requiring them to be stimulating and engaging with the audience. But more on that in a bit. Even with such a powerful extension, professional UI, streamer star power, and the backing of Twitch itself, there's still one major difference that separated Hivemind and the other streaming game shows from the originals, and that's the live studio setting. Now, I'm jumping around the timeline here a bit, but back in February of 2020, YouTuber and Twitch streamer Pay Money Wubby premiered a live stream of his game show series, The Price is Scuffed. And although the participants were Pay Money Wubby's viewers participating from their own homes, this chaotic show was one of, if not the first, to use a full studio including a multi-camera setup, audio, video, makeup, and production crews, all while streaming live on Twitch. And this is where I think Twitch's game show renaissance truly started and began to find its footing. In July of 2021, Ludwig premiered Mogul Money, a Jeopardy remix containing a surprisingly professional studio set, commercial breaks for Ludwig's other ventures, and some of Twitch's most prominent streamers as guests. Now, I'll be honest, I saw the first episode of Mogul Money shortly after it premiered, and I thought that was it. This was the gold standard for Twitch game shows, and I wasn't going to see anything of equal quality or better. But I'm happy to say that wasn't the case. Just a month later, in August 2021, Viner, YouTuber, podcaster, musician, and a bunch of other shit. I don't know, he's half of Tiny Meat Gang alongside Cody Ko. Anyway, Noel Miller released a game show on YouTube called Find That Link. It was not only professionally done, it was its own unique game show and not a remix of something that already existed. Focusing on internet culture, contestants are shown part of a meme or viral video and use their phones to race, find, and submit a source link. But as the game goes on, things get trickier. The last Twitch game show I'll be discussing brings us back to OTK Gaming, whose prior game show type streams were purposefully makeshift. But then, in mid-October 2021, OTK streamed episode 1 of Loot Goblins, a Twitch-centric trivia game set in a medieval fantasy tavern. This game show has the best set design I've seen so far on Twitch or YouTube. Like Hivemind, it's streamed through a partnership with Twitch Gaming, and it uses a chat extension for those watching on the participant streams to be able to interact in certain outcomes of the show. Although the gameplay is fairly simple, the implementation of the chat extension and the personalities of the contestants keep the show both interesting and entertaining. And while that does it for Twitch game shows, I feel it's incredibly important to mention a few of the major special internet events that, although not game shows outright, I weirdly still think fit into the genre and need mentioning due to their significant creative contributions. The first of these being the streamer Germa985, specifically his Dollhouse stream. In the past, Germa has been called a content genius and even the Willy Wonka of Twitch. The Germa Dollhouse stream was essentially a game of The Sims, where Germa played a sim living in a house which was actually a fully modifiable studio set, where chat was collectively controlling Germa, the player character, and determining most every aspect of what happened to him throughout the 4-day streaming event. Although not objectively a game show, I believe this Twitch event deserves an honorable mention due to its similarities, but also because it's a great example of someone else's take on how to use Twitch creatively for something other than gaming. Another major online streaming event are Twitch and YouTube roasts. Obviously modeled after Comedy Central's roasts, which started in 1998, this event and the remix of them is nothing new. So why am I including them? Well, the main reason for this is simply because streamers have included the roasted format as a major event within their non-standard streaming entertainment. A lot of the criteria that fits into streamer game shows matches that of what is already shown within 100 Thieves and other streamers' roasts. Multiple up-and-coming or already popular streamers, an abstract structure that could seemingly collapse at any moment, and a basic rule set that allows for multiple jokes or entertaining bits focused around a main subject, the roastee. Last but certainly not least in the realm of non-standard internet game style events is, well, basically anything and everything Mr. Beast has ever made and will ever go on to make. One of the biggest YouTubers on the platform, Mr. Beast's entire MO revolves around building, creating, or doing larger than life things in order for people to win insane sums of money or major prizes. I'm not going to try to analyze Mr. Beast's content because I could probably make an hour-long video on just that, but this guy is the YouTube expert. Compared to him, I have no right making any sort of claim on what is being done right or wrong within a YouTube video. With that said, Mr. Beast's videos could almost be called like a freestyle game show. Now let's mention the qualities of the television game shows and see how they match up to the aforementioned Twitch and internet game shows. Number 1, entertaining. This is pretty straightforward. The game aspect of these shows is inherently entertaining. The host or hosts, being known Twitch or YouTube personalities, means that they already have an existing fan base. And while some of the shows do bring on random people as guests, the majority have other streamers and online personalities as the competitors, adding an additional layer of entertainment to the shows. Number 2, stimulating. Just like their traditional counterparts, these game shows still create a personal investment for the viewer, but I would argue it's much stronger in these online game shows for 2 reasons. The first takes us back to the thing I just said about Twitch streamers being the contestants. A lot of people are watching the show for the sole purpose of rooting for their contestant. Where traditional TV game shows tended to bring on a boring ass, 52-year-old Ron from Iowa who teaches 6th grade math, Mogul Moves brings on XQC who professionally plays video games and brings major crackhead energy to the set. The second reason being the implementation of internet meme or Twitch knowledge into the questions. By mixing general knowledge with internet culture or having the questions completely revolve around said culture, the streamers are making the show more relatable to their audience and fan base, which ties in directly to the next part. Number 3, engaging with the audience and or viewers. I believe this is a big edge that the Twitch game shows hold over the traditional ones, specifically in the use of the chat extension, which takes viewer engagement to a new level. The average TV game show had the problem that most of their contestants were just fucking lame. Combine this with the fact that viewers are generally watching a Twitch game show to see one, if not more, specific people, the result is a per viewer level of personal investment much higher than that of someone watching Ron from Iowa. Number 4, Advertiser Friendly, aka safe. This is one of the most interesting parts when making a comparison between the 2 types of game shows, and I think it's probably the most important. If you remember how I summarized safe earlier to mean marketable to suburban moms, well, none of these shows fit that description in any way, shape, or form. No swearing.
Incorrect. It's 2 P's. It's a fucking climate.
Dude, what the fuck?
Tree.
Motherfucker.
Are you fucking kidding
You're an
me?
idiot.
No, I'm not.
Dude,
No.
what?
We're so fucking.
No sexual content.
You say what I think you're gonna say. Chug is cum flavored. God damn it, dude! I cum flavored. Lock it in. Yeah, let's see if cum's on the board.
No alcohol or drug use or references.
And then down here we have tequila, Bacardi, fucking prosciutto, Jameson, Jack Daniels, Bombay, Sapphire, Dry Gin, and vodka. Chug, bitch, chug, chug!
And no over-the-top characters.
Careful, it's cursed.
What the fuck?
No, Minx, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Tell me.
That's why you called me out?
No, Minx, please.
You didn't even want, you just didn't want her to be.
No, Minx, you're Irish, you're already cursed, come on.
Yet even so, all of these Twitch shows I've mentioned have had something in common: sponsors. What this tells us is that advertisers can and will adapt. Even if it is just one sponsor per show, these are still pretty big companies who see some sort of value in what these streamers are doing. This is probably the biggest point out of everything I've brought up because it frees content creators from financial restraints, which in turn frees them from creative restraints. This is something relatively new within the world of streaming and why I say we're seeing an entertainment renaissance in game shows. The ability for these creators to fully execute their ideas results in fun, unique, and refreshing content that paves the way for groundbreaking accomplishments within the entertainment industry. As previously mentioned, the current production value in these online shows is pretty good, but it tends to pale in comparison to the enormous and expensive sets of Wheel of Fortune and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But where networks found it necessary to have these major productions in order to provide legitimacy to both viewer and the advertisers, streamers don't need this. But bringing it back, these are the reasons why I consider the game shows being put out by Twitch streamers to be the breath of fresh air the game show genre needed. By keeping the portions of the game show formula that work, while leveraging the strengths of the internet and Twitch, adding modifications as need be, and still gaining the attraction of our corporate overlords without losing their creative edge, Twitch streamers and content creators are improvising, adapting, and overcoming all of the hurdles that go into creating or revamping a successful game show. And in doing so, they're creating online events that are more entertaining, hold more variety, and can relate to the modern viewer more so than any traditional TV game show ever could. Overall, I was originally going to segue this portion into a segment of what we might see in the next year or two, but instead I think I'm going to end the video by just saying that I'm excited for what the future holds, and I look forward to seeing this exciting content.